Hello, hello, and welcome to the Finding the Unicorn in You podcast. What a beautiful day to inspire lives. My name is Dr. Jaime G, your host, and I'm so excited to have you here. Let's get ready to meet some fantastic unicorns and learn how to unleash the inner unicorn in you. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finding the Unicorn in You. Today, I have an individual who was born in Yugoslavia, where he studied engineering as well as a powerful healing method. He is an author of Bioenergy Healing, Simple Techniques for Reducing Pain and Restoring Health Through Energetic Healing, as well as 3 other books, which he will mention later today. I am very excited to have him on the podcast. So without further ado, I have Csongor Daniel.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what inspired to get you into this field of work?
That's very interesting. I was talking to somebody about it today. It keeps coming back. I was never planning on being in this field of work whatsoever. But it was funny that it came back to me. I was about 4 when my grandfather's he broke his foot. And his leg was in a cast. And he says, when you get big, you're going to be a doctor and you're going to fix me every time. And I said something really stupid, as a 4-year-old can say, no, I'll just kick you in your leg and you'll be better, or something like that. And for many years, I never thought of being in this field whatsoever. I studied to be an engineer. I was actually halfway through engineering when, when just everything changed. A family friend was visiting, my dad's a good friend from childhood, and he was an editor for a magazine, and he was well read. And he was telling my dad about this energy. And my dad was a chemist, he got it, but he wasn't really into it, resistant. And I overheard it from the other room, and I really had to go in and listen, because there was something about it that touched me. And he was showing us how to feel this energy. And when he did, I realized, wait a second, I felt this my whole life. And so this is the energy. Yes, what do you do with it? We were in dark ages as far as that goes. But he showed us a few things. Yeah, you could maybe stop pain, or you could do other things with it. And it opened my interest just because the feeling was explained. However, and I was able to stop some friends' pain, foot pain, headache, stuff like that. It was all an experiment. There was nothing about it anywhere, no literature about it. You learn about Far Eastern philosophy or medicine or such, but that was as far as it goes. And then one day, I was asked by my mom to try to fix her back pain. And of course, I had no idea about it. Again, I was studying for engineering, no knowledge of anatomy whatsoever to start with. I was just behind her, and in my logical mind, I figured the hot areas where I felt heat or pressure, there was too much of this energy. I have to pull it out. And it worked before. But now I was faced by a back pain. This was like just weeks into playing with this energy, not even weeks, maybe a couple weeks into it. And so I stepped behind my mom and I visualized pulling this energy out. And as soon as I started pulling my hand away, her body followed. I'm like, what the heck? I push my hand forward, my mom goes forward. I pull my hand back, my mom goes back. And she was bending back and forth like this. Like, Mom, what are you doing? She goes, nothing. What are you doing? I was like, I don't know. This is crazy. So this changed everything. You're handed a special power that you've never seen, you never heard of. It was a wicked experience. So what do you do with that knowledge or with this new experience when you're 20 in your college years? You go tell your buddies in the pub. which met with a lot of laughter and so on. So I tried one after the other and eventually realized, hey, I can move most of them without touching them. Heck, by the end of the night, we were making bets in beer, who's going to move, who's not. The whole pub was into it. It was crazy. But that was definitely a turning point. And thinking back at my grandpa, Gee, maybe he knew something. And where do you learn these things? Nobody's teaching it in school. Now I have this something. I don't know how to use it. You know, a couple of weeks go by, we see this guy on TV where hundreds of people are waiting in line on a small Adriatic island just to see this one guy. He was a great healer, and the report on TV just revealed basically that he was on an island in the Adriatic. And then they showed him in action. And again, people sitting around, big circle, many people, and he's working on one individual. And he's pulling this person and pushing and bending and everything. And oh my God, this is the first time I see somebody doing it. So I got to get in touch with him, right? Now, this was 80s, pre-Google, pre-internet, pre-cell phones. Basically, it was tough to get in touch with anybody on that island. Eventually, I talked to somebody in a hotel who told me that, yeah, this person just moved away. He's not here anymore. We don't know where he is. Great. So back to studies, just normal stuff. Then my buddy runs over with a newspaper. My best friend lived like 3 houses down from me. He was my first experiment ever. He had a bad ankle, some pain from running. He was an ultra marathon runner. And so he ran into this article and ran it over to me. It was about a professor in Belgrade who was measuring the energy fields of the body and things that you can measure in anything, amps, ohms, volts, and such. But he had a big statistical library, and he was able to pull me over at the end and tell me like, hey, man, you were born to be a healer. You should do this. I'm like, great. Where do I sign up? I didn't see any courses in college for energy healing or whatever you call it. He says, no, I have somebody for you. And we hopped in the car. We drove half an hour outside of Belgrade, and he introduced me to the same guy I've been looking for, Mr. Zdenko Domančić. The goosebumps each time. It was like given. It was, if that wasn't enough sign, then I don't know what it is. And he taught me, he showed me what works, how it works, how the energy moves, how to feel it and such. And I went back and I started working on my own. First month, I had about 30 patients. 2 months later, I had 30 a day. And 3 months later, I came to the States for a vacation. And while I was here, the war started in Yugoslavia. And here I am still. It was a transformation and a transition. We all go through many of those in our lifetime. Just from childhood to adulthood, that's a huge change. And many stumble. It's very nice to know what you want to do in life early in life.
Mhm.
But most of the time, that's not how it works.
Some of us don't really discover our passion, our talents, our what we need to do until later on, especially if you're not looking for it, when you're just living day by day in survival mode, and not really looking in how can I use my talents? How can I what or just doing that self-discovery. It takes a while, but
It's
yeah.
funny that you mentioned the survival mode. This is 21st century. Are we really still talking about survival? But if you look around you, that's the impression that we get, unfortunately. And it leads you to the biggest issue and the biggest problem and the cause for pretty much all illness. And do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's all about perspective. I think we all do have certain privileges that we don't really acknowledge. We have a house over our head, like a home over our head. We have food, whether it not mean may not be the food that we want, but we have food. We may have a job. We have certain luxuries like things that other people don't have, like Netflix, Hulu, things. And we're over here saying, "Oh, I'm just surviving paycheck by paycheck," but we do have a lot of privileges that we don't take into account because we're not living the luxurious life or the materialistic life that,
Sure
doesn't.
we are. Sure we are. Again, matter of perspective. Now
Yeah.
listen, show me one pharaoh who had a Harley or had a TV or had any potato chips. You mentioned whatever you want. 90% of things that we have today, they didn't even know that would ever exist.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of gold, a lot of power, a lot of things at the time. But today's average individual lives better than any of them.
Mm-hmm.
You have better dental care, you have better everything. Again, it's perspective. What do you compare? Where do you want to be? What is your goal? And that's the question I ask everyone. Stop for a moment and ask yourself, what is the purpose of your life? What is the goal of that life?
Mm-hmm.
Is it to spread hate or is it to spread love? Number one, what is the strongest drawing power in the universe? What runs everything? If there's no love, there's no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Double negative for that.
The clients that I work with, when I ask them what their goals, a lot of it is materialistic. I want to reach this job so I can make the X amount of money and then I'll have a happy life. Or I will marry someone and then I'll be happy. But then I ask, if I were to give you $1 million, $10 million, will you take it? A lot of them say, yeah, I'll take it. What if I told you that the cost of receiving that money is that tomorrow you don't get to wake up? Would you still take it? And they're like, no. So that means that your life and living another day in this world is way more than the amount that you just told me. So why don't you enjoy every single day that you're alive?
Exactly, it's the wrong values that we're chasing. You can accumulate money all you want, more than you can spend in a gazillion lifetimes. Some people have it already, but you cannot buy time. So time is very linear in this lifetime, and you have to first of all have it, and then you have to use it purposefully in the right way
Mhm.
and as slow as possible.
Yeah, and you have to enjoy the small little moments that happen every day. If you're enjoying that cup of coffee, if you are seeing the sunrise, if you're listening to the hummingbirds swing by, like pass by, these little small moments that you get to cherish and have the privilege to see every day. That's what's gonna get you in a better mood than being able to have the brand new watch, the brand new phone, or whatever it may be. Yes, and you make some like instant gratification at that time, but it's temporary. Everything fades.
Well, first you stress for the desire
Mhm.
to have it because you've seen it somewhere.
Yeah.
It was shiny and you want it. Then you finally get it, then you have that high.
Mhm.
Now you either have to protect it, then you stress about that, or what are you going to do with it next? It's like the boat owners, the two happiest moments of their lives, when they bought it and when they sold it. And yes, so that's usually with material goods and things fade. You're happy for a while with them.
Mhm.
It's rare that they would guarantee any kind of long-term happiness. So what are the things that guarantee long-term happiness? Again, the right people around you, family, love, something that you do that makes you happy and such. So whoever is young out there listening, find something that you love doing and that will give you enough to make a good living or get by. If you love it enough, the material stuff is not that important.
Mhm.
It's great to have a Porsche and a Ferrari and stuff. You get to places faster. But in essence, again, look back just 50 years ago, nobody had a car like you have now.
Mhm.
Nobody had GPS in it and automatic brakes and whatnot. They drive by themselves. What is coming in another 50 years or in 10 years, the newest model today will be obsolete.
Mm.
You're all happy about it now. In 10 years, your neighbor shows up with something nicer, and now you suffer again. So it's
Mhm.
back and forth, creating your own suffering
Mhm.
instead of create your own happiness and love and go for that.
You're completely right, and as you're saying it, you're giving me a simple realization that I thought I appreciate little things, but even in that sense, my first car was a 1990s Toyota Corolla where I still had to roll the windows down. It had a cassette player. Uh,
Say nothing. Say nothing. My first car was a Yugo. And it was 3 years old, and I paid for it more than I would have paid for a new Yugo in the
Mhm.
United States. Yeah, it was a piece of crap, but it had a roof and the doors opened and closed after you
Mhm.
adjusted them at home. But yes, I was happy with it. Now I wouldn't be because I had something better since. So yeah, it's evolution, and that's what made humankind come to this point. But somewhere along the way, we hit our heads, and so we're again going for the wrong values. It is pushed up on us. If you watch TV, you're hypnotized already. You have all the information ever available to humans at a touch of your fingers. Heck, in your pocket, you can look up any information. And we're still at this point. Future generations, ask yourself what is really what we are here for, or why are we here? What are we doing here? Where's the
Exactly.
planet going? Right now we're like pests. We're eating up everything that we can
Mhm.
and multiplying.
It's
So
interesting it's
uh,
interesting that you say that just because I've been talking with a lot of individuals right now about environmental wellness and how is their level of environmental wellness compared to their other sections of wellness. And a lot of people usually score it high, but when I actually explain that they're being respectful to the earth, they're being respectful in to the animals, to the plants, to the environment, and to each other, they typically start lowering themselves at how effective they are in their environmental wellness. And I think we are, like you said, we are eating up the world alive. We're tarnishing it, we're polluting it every single day. The I see the news about the beaches and how dirty it is with all of the pollution that we put in there and
listen, you start with yourself in many ways. I don't throw trash in my backyard or in my living room, right? I nurture my trees. I plant trees every year. Why not every person on the planet plant one tree every year? That's 8.5 billion trees right now, or wherever we are in that number. In elementary school, I learned we had to memorize that there were 4.5 billion people on the planet in elementary school. Now it's double that in my lifetime. So we have to think about that. There's a lot of, and we all want organic, we want healthy and happy food, right? So it's at this moment, at this rate, it's not sustainable.
Mhm.
Now, again, coming back to you, you look inside your body. Most of you is foreign material. You have bacteria, you have stuff making up what you are with some consciousness in you. Now look at the whole planet. It's all made up same way of different materials. Once in a while some foreign material hits it, but it has to stay. It all has to be in a symbiotic relationship. Otherwise, we're gone.
Mhm.
It's, it's a task for the future generation, but it has to start yesterday.
Yeah, completely agree.
So what do? You start cleaning up your own environment, your own microcosm, your own brain.
Mhm.
You start with happy thoughts because stress will never take you anywhere, right? So how do you start with happy thoughts? You can't be on mushrooms all the time or something. You have to you have to think positive. Everybody else around you, people cut you off on the highway,
Mhm.
fingers fly and whatever. They're not cutting you off because they hate you. They just they didn't see you or they don't care. It doesn't matter. But it's nothing personal. People take it personal. Everything becomes stressful.
Mhm.
So relax a little bit. That lady standing in line in front of you, think of her as your mom or grandma or somebody else.
Mhm.
Because we are all related. We're all connected. I work on people every day at great distances. I don't see many people one on one, especially since the COVID epidemic. But I have clients everywhere from Australia to Canada to all over, that I don't see personally, not even on Zoom. I go into deep meditation and I work on them. And I've
Mhm.
been doing that for 30 years. So guarantee that we're all connected. You think of somebody and the phone rings, or you get a text message from that person, right? Your telepathy was a little bit faster than AT&T or such. So this connection is everywhere. Everything vibrates. You are not comprehending most of the things around you right now. As a matter of fact, everything is vibration, of course. From all the vibrations around you, you pick up maybe 0.001%.
Mhm.
You think your eyes pick up a lot of things. Your eyes take over 80% of your brain. There's 4 or 5 million informations around right now for your eyes. It's too much. It just the eyes pick up, but the brain cannot handle it. The
Mhm.
information comes through your eyes, but right now you see me, but whatever's on your desk or somewhere on the side, your eyes see it, but your brain doesn't. It can comprehend maybe a few thousand information at a time. There's a vast amount of vibrations and things that we don't see and we don't comprehend, yet they influence us greatly.
Mhm.
And if you count all the information, including the 5G and everything they talk about nowadays, your energy is still the strongest if you make it to be that. So positive thinking starts with positive words.
Mhm.
You drop the no, don't, can't, what a negative stuff. And it's a brain challenge. Try to go through a day without saying something negative. And if something negative happens, try to say it in a positive roundabout way. Tai Chi your way around it. You
Mhm.
know. At one seminar, one of the ladies asked me, actually, she made a statement that doesn't work. I tried it, it doesn't work. What did you do? I had a headache, and I said, no headache. And it didn't work. Of course, because that was all a negative statement.
Mhm.
No is a negative word. Headache, you're just reinforcing that same negative statement. Start your day smiling, laughing, do the positive reinforcement, and try it out, see if it works. It's just a brain exercise. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm just saying that life is a lot more easier and pleasant when you look at it from a positive point of view. It rains outside. You can look outside and, oh man, it's crap. I can't go out, can't play golf, whatnot. And you're miserable all day. Or you look out and it's raining and you go, wow, look at that perfect rain. So nice for the grass. I can sit inside, finally pick up my book or such. Two different perspectives on the same situation.
Mhm.
Now, did either one of them change the weather? No. It's my choice to be the one who looks at it in from a positive point of view and enjoy whatever it is. Everything is zen. Everything is in balance. Somehow universe brings it all into balance.
Mhm. I love that. And it's all about our mentality, really. And that's something that I always try to tell people is you really have change your mindset and your life will go along with it. And that goes with my question that I want to go the next question for you. So this season's all about transitions in life and your experience as you went into a unicorn journey to reach happiness. So can you share your experience and your journey and where you had that mind shift and you started thinking more positively and creating that perspective for yourself?
I went through many shifts in my life. Sometimes events bring it in, sometimes necessity. I was stuck by myself in a new country with a few relatives and friends who were very loving and helpful, but far from a majority of everybody and big family and such. Happened before. I went to the military as well. It was mandatory at the time, so we all had to go. I didn't want to. I liked my freedom. I liked to travel and such, but it was something I had to do.
Mhm.
And it was like a big slap in your face. It's a totally different life. So it was like I had one life, then I had another one. Then came another one. Then I'm in this country, came another one. And I realized that I was always more on the positive side my whole life. But as far as a big shift, it's just when you stop resisting, it comes to you. We're resisting stuff. We're in the condition of, I don't even know what we're looking for. Most people are just running headlessly where the time takes them and makes it even shorter. I think stopping the resistance and just opening your eyes and paying attention to what's really important is what makes the big difference. It doesn't have to be always what the Kardashians are doing or other people. It's fancy, it's beautiful. And if you have all that money, go for it. If your goal in life is to, I don't know, have a Ferrari, and that's what makes you happy, go for it. Just get your direction in that way and do it in a happy way. Don't do it stressful. But again, it's a possession thing. So eventually it will go with stress of getting it, stress of having it, stress of keeping it, stress of fixing it, the stress of scratching it. It all comes with it. But that's also human condition. It's like the guy who went to live in a cave with nothing. But then he went out a few times and it was embarrassing. So somebody gave him a loincloth, just not to be embarrassed. But now he already had a loincloth. Now you could hang stuff on it. And then it would be nice to have a cup, and it would be nice to, and slowly you get the goat, you get the TV, you get everything else. And what I'm trying to say is make a goal. What is your goal? What is your overall goal in life? What is that contains your happiness and your health and everything else? And see how you can get there. Now you have a goal, now you have to make a plan and somehow stick with it. If you go aimlessly, that's exactly where you're going to get to no location.
Completely agree. I completely agree. And that's essentially how you get through life. There's so many people that plan very meticulously for their vacations. They put time and energy, and they can tell you from the day it starts, from the day it ends, every single hour what they're going to do. If they were to put that energy into their own life to plan their final destination, they will get through it. It's just that we don't make the time for ourselves and to think about it because it's hard. It's hard work and we get intimidated by it. Sometimes we're afraid by it. But all it takes is taking it one step at a time, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. And you'll
We're extremely afraid of time running out to a point where we make the biggest mistakes. I don't have time right now to stop. When was the last time you were bored? Like you actually sat and I don't know what to do. I think maybe when I was a kid at one point it happened, but I was always active and doing something. Now, if you stop for a moment and just stop, put all the things down, close your eyes, and just count to 10, from 10 to 1. One breath, one number. See the number in front of your closed eyes. By the time you get to 1, that's maybe 3 minutes. Very slow breathing, and then stop for another few minutes and see what comes to you. See how much you can relax. Or if you have tasks, you can do it in that state. Your brain is relaxed and you focus on only one thing. It will make your life a little bit easier. Every day, a 10-minute meditation will take you a long way.
completely agree. I completely agree. And I think that's something that we just need to practice more is mindfulness and breathing exercises and really being in the moment. And I'm a little thrown off just because a lot of the questions I was going to ask you, you've already answered. And we're running out of time, but
It's always part of it.
so you definitely got ahead of the game. I have one final question for you. This has been a wonderful conversation and I've loved it. Definitely have learned a lot. But the whole premise of this podcast was to really identify the transitions in life, and you talked a lot about that and then what people can do along their path. However, if you had to give advice to people listening to the podcast, what is one key factor that can transform an individual from being an ordinary person to a unicorn that is going to thrive and reach their purpose and happiness?
I believe that was the last sentence, to make a plan, actually make a goal, and then make a plan, stick with it, basically. However, be flexible.
Hmm.
It's be water, whatever shape you pour it in, it picks up that shape. So in essence, I think humans nowadays are less tolerant. We want
Hmm.
everything, we want it now. Amazon brings it here tomorrow or the same day or whatever. Is the tolerance. Whatever you expect from the other person, they probably expect it from you as well. So
Hmm.
think of the magnet. If you smile at somebody, they smile back. And I think you can catch a lot more flies with honey.
Oh, definitely. And I do want to throw this one last question in there. I really like the answer for this one. So, if you can go back in time to a younger version of yourself and give yourself one piece of advice that would change your trajectory of your life, what would it be?
Ooh, I would have so many. This is the toughest question. When they say, how far would I have to go back in time to make everything perfect? And I would have to go back to, I don't know, to my baby teeth, maybe. I think stay positive or be positive would be an advice to everyone. Now, what would I say to myself aside from certain lottery tickets or such? I would have just put myself in this direction earlier. But the reality is that if I did, I would have missed out on many other experiences that made this one richer.
Hmm.
So whatever happens to you that is negative, you have to know that there's something positive attached to you. It's there to teach you something.
Hmm.
So as soon as you look at it that way, it ceases to become negative. You
Hmm.
turn the event into positive. That's pretty much it. There's only Zen. There's no good or bad, positive, negative. In essence, it's all is.
I love that. Yeah. And everything does correlate. And as much as sometimes we want to stay in the past and say, if this would have happened, if that would have happened, you are the person you are today based on the series of choices that you've made in your life.
Absolutely. So go for it. You can't go back. Nobody will go back. And nobody's listening who's two. Whoever you are, you're listening now. You can start from tomorrow. Try the positive thing and start from now. Tomorrow will be better. The day after will be even better.
Completely agree. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate our conversation. And for those that want to stay updated with your work or they want to reach out to you, how can they do?
All my information is on my website, links to my schools. You can read my books and learn how to do this or do the online course. Anybody can learn it. We didn't get into all those details. I teach you in 5 minutes how to feel the energy, how to see it, how to manipulate it, and become a lot healthier. My website is my name, Csongor Daniel, CSONGOR .com, and you'll find everything there.
Perfect. And we didn't really get to dive too deep into that. So we have a few minutes. So do you want to talk a little bit more about it?
What I do is called bioenergy healing.
Mhm.
Actually, I have to reach out, and this is my one of the latest books. It has lots of information in it. It teaches you everything from the theory of energy through quantum physics, what it is, how it influences you, what influences the energy, and how to basically heal anything. You can all do it. You all have the mechanism in your body, how to get it. As I said, it's all about manipulating the energy. The book is full of pictures, and it even has these little QR codes. So it takes you to videos, 31 videos with it. So if you don't understand something, you see all the movements and everything. And since COVID, since thankfully my cousin was stuck with me here, who was a filmmaker, and we shot a 7-video series that teaches everything. It's also online and also available through my website.
That's amazing.
So
Perfect.
check it out, and if you get anybody interested from your listeners, if they mention your show, send me an email, and I'll give you 20% off from the entire school.
Perfect.
So,
and
another bonus.
Awesome. So I'll post all the links down in the bio on the show notes so people can go ahead and check you out. I also have a Unicorn Wall of Fame on my website where you'll be posted on there with your bio information and all your links so people can go ahead and go onto my website, raygoza-consulting.com, to check him out as well. And for listeners, as always, episodes come out every Friday at 7 a.m. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on the app. So thank you so much once again for your time, and I appreciated our conversation.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Of course. Thank you for listening to the Finding the Unicorn in You podcast. I truly appreciate you listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and gained valuable insights. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review on your favorite platform. Keep listening, keep learning, and keep growing. Until next time, this is Dr. Jaime Gabriel Raygoza signing off.